We're gonna do so many things.
Okay.
Hey, folks, it is time. It says we're live.
Yep.
I'm assuming we're live.
Hi.
Who are we?
I think we should probably start with Dani Tirrell, right? So who is Dani Tirrell?
Huh? Started with me. We never start with me. I'm Dani. Oh, we do start with me. I don't know. It's y'all. We're gonna explain later. We're just going to explain later. I'm Dani Tirrell.
I'm Randy Ford.
I'm jmaseiii.
And we are the living room.
Right there, it says the living room.
Yes. Hey, everyone that's logging on. Good to see y'all. Good to see you, Michael Maine. What's good with you? We're surviving a pandemic. What's good with you? Where you are?
Pandemic.
We out here.
We're out here. We out here. That's like
real. We out here trying to survive a pandemic. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
And all your expectations.
Right. What's the living room, folks? If people don't know what it is, what's the living room?
It is a space that is held for Black, queer, trans, non-conforming spirits to exhale and exchange and change the world. Sorry, I'm really trying to read. But yeah, we're a living room podcast. For those of you that are just joining us, did I say living room podcast? We are a podcast.
Yes, we're a podcast.
A weekly podcast called The Living Room. We used to do them in actual living rooms because of Rona. We are here now on StreamYard, our newer platform. We used to do Zoom, but we basically just discuss fashion, politics, sexuality, health, spirituality, religion, etc. And yeah, we discuss how we move in the world. We are 3 artists here residing in Seattle, Washington. And we're Black, queer as fuck. And we got a lot of shit to say. A lot.
Yeah.
And we wanted y'all to see us say some shit.
Right. And if you're not used to the StreamYard platform, while we are not with you on the YouTube or the Facebook, you can write a comment on the Facebook or the YouTube, and we can see it here on our end. So what we really love about this platform is it gives us an opportunity to really interact with y'all. So please, when we're asking a question, we do not ask rhetorical questions. We want to actually know how you're feeling, what is actually happening for you on the ground. And please, if there's anything you have to say, write it in the comment section, and we if we like it, we'll put it up on the screen here. If you don't want to share, you can put anonymous on it, even though it's obviously not anonymous when you write it on Facebook or YouTube. But if you don't want us to say it out loud or share it on the screen, you can just write, please don't share anonymous on your comment.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We said that. We said it'll be recorded. Yeah. So, be careful of what you put out there if you don't want people to know and go back to what you said. So be careful about that.
Because it'll be documented.
Wow.
It's documented.
Yes.
It will be live and in charge. What's so special about today or this week even?
We're actually going to go to the commitment to collective growth first.
Oh, J Mase, that's all you.
Oh, and that is me. That is me doing that on my very fun computer. That's gonna let me do that.
We are here. We're just gonna put it like that. We are here.
We're here. We're queer, and we love it. So
right.
Yeah. So we're surviving the corona. We're surviving the world. I always tell people that this is the end of the world as we know it, which means there's so much transformation and possibility, but we just got to push through to the growth, okay? So that's a lot of stuff that we are moving through right now, and we know that y'all are too. So as we've been thinking about what we want this space to be, we have a set of, as Dani said, some commitments to collective growth, okay? And so I'm just going to read off some of these. If you like them, you can snap along. You can say, you can add some stuff or things that you would like to share, but these are our commitments that we as the creators and hosts of the living room want to make sure that we voice and that we center, right? So the first piece that we want to say is, again, as Randy shared, that we are a space that is dedicated to Black, trans, non-binary, non-conforming, and gender non-conforming, and non-binary people, period. And so other folks, people who are solidarity partners, obviously people who are solidarity partners join, participate, all those different things. But our framework is that we start from a place of Black, trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming people first. That's the first thing you know about us. If you are offering up any thoughts, remember to claim your own experiences, right? So you're not speaking for anybody else except for yourself, right? So at the living room, we believe in healthy dialogue, right? Which means owning your own shit, okay? We also reserve the right to not engage with anyone that we feel like will cause harm to our communities or the folks that we are in relationship with. So that's one thing we want to also add. And make sure that we are listening and speak from a place of understanding and love, right? So that's another guideline that we have, that for us, we like to assume that people that are engaging with us, especially other Black, trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people, are coming from a place of love, understanding, and working towards, again, that collective growth together. And yeah. And so with that, I think that pretty much covers everything that I want to share on that end. Am I missing anything that y'all like? We gotta make sure you forgot this or
We are good. Yes.
Daddy.
Yes, today is a special day because we are. I can't. Oh, Why? Anyway, today we are a part of the We Out Here Festival of Seattle, created and curated by Michael B. Main.
Yes.
We have a banner for that. Hey.
Yes,
I created
Hello, I'm here.
I have time on my hands or whatever. Yes, created and curated by Michael B. Main. You can visit the We Out Here Festival at weoutHereSeattle.com. We'll show it in a second. Or not. Huh?
Isn't that on? The We Out Here banner?
Yeah, no, the We Out Here banner is right there. It's right. I saw it.
It was out there.
It's right here.
Okay, maybe I'm just late. Listen. Oh, there it is. I'm just late, child. I'm late to the game. What are we We Out Here is a Look, we don't talk about why we're so
disoriented.
We'll talk about that in a minute. We Out Here is a festival to honor and celebrate Black excellence. Let me look at it this way. Black excellence and share resources in the Seattle area. Shining a light on artists, elders, activists, community members, and organizations representing a number of fields who are working to address complex issues in creative ways. We Out Here will feature consultations, talks, presentations, and workshops throughout the day, and live performances each night from June 17th to the 20th, 2020. Thank you, Michael B. May. Hey! Yay! Yeah. So please go visit the festival. There's some amazing things going on. You can also catch some encore presentations about things that have taken place over the past few days. Visit that and support Michael B. Main and the rest of the artists for the We Out Here Festival. weoutHereSeattle.com. Yes.
Okay. My bad.
Yes. I want to call you Randy B4 because I'm so used to saying Michael B. Main.
You can say it if you want.
Randy B4. I love it.
Inshallah. That
is your new name, Randy B4.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was so about to come out my mouth. I might as well just finish it.
You might as well.
Yes. As they said before, we are in our houses in quarantine. We normally come with some sexy outfit or mask, but look, y'all, we tired.
I could do this. I did this. This is what I could do.
I'm wearing the same sweatsuit I wore, I think, 2 days ago.
Right. You're on auntie duties also, so you're on auntie duties.
I know I'm on auntie duty. So yeah, for folks, if I'm doing this a lot, I'm looking to make sure my niece is okay. I'm on auntie duty, and I'll get into the blessings and bullshit later as to why I'm on auntie duty. Yeah. But yes, if you see me craning my neck, just know I'm checking on an actual infant.
Yes. Well, guess what? We're into blessings and bullshit right now. Hey!
Yes! Hey!
Hold up. Yes.
Hey.
Absolutely. Blessings and bullshit. We treat this like rose and thorn of the week.
Yes.
Rose your hot like titty, pow, pow. And yeah, I can start. I'm just gonna jump right into it.
Yes.
So, blessings and bullshit. So let me start with, I'm actually going to start a lot with these blessings because I've been very blessed and highly favored, I must say, even though it's been a very tumultuous week. Past even. So I am on auntie duty today because my brother and his baby's mother delivered a second baby today. Another Gemini was born into the world. And yes, I am on auntie duty with my niecey Poo Nyla. And it's been great. This is our first day like together alone without her parents in the room. And usually she doesn't like me. Like she's never wanting to be around me or anything, but we were able to trick her, you know, and have my brother sneak out the car when I dropped him off at the hospital. And I was just going vroom, vroom in my new car also, which has been another thing. Yes. So, yeah, my brother called me today and was like, hey, I'm at work. They're going to induce Mercedes. I was like, what do you mean? And then he was like, I need to go. They're all the way in Kirkland. So I had to go all the way to Federal Way to pick him up from work, to go to Kirkland to do some baby swapping. And then I came here. So thank goddess I had a car over the weekend. I was able to buy a new car. Her name is Miss Daisy.
You went on a cross-country trip in Seattle, in Washington State. You went on, if anyone knows Kirkland and Federal Way, that's a cross-country trip.
It's a cross-country, it's across water.
And you named it
island.
Let's get to part though. You named your car Miss Daisy?
Yes.
Okay.
It went in my mouth while I was driving, and then it stuck. I was like, you know what? You're Miss Daisy. I feel like Miss Daisy is a butch femme.
Okay.
Like, she's giving me like tomboy vibes because Monica was a high femme, and so Miss Daisy, she's giving you like tomboy. She got that rear view camera, so when you back it up, you know exactly where it's going. And
so you're literally driving Miss Daisy.
I'm literally driving Miss Daisy.
I'm like, you might have different associations with that name because I was like,
right,
Miss Daisy, like.
It's been so cute. I feel so happy that I'm finally on wheels again. You're frozen.
No, you're not frozen. Allison is saying we got you know, are we going to unpack this Miss Daisy thing later? I think we should unpack this Miss Daisy thing later. We don't have to do it now, but I think at some point.
Is Miss Daisy problematic?
I don't. Did again? You're in your 20s. Have you seen the movie?
No, not at all.
Okay, you should see the movie first before you name your car Miss Daisy. I'm just saying, see the movie first. Okay, see the movie first.
Why are you driving her?
Because you driving her. You Miss Daisy. You willingly.
Let me get a synopsis. What happens in this movie?
Listen, white supremacy. It's all white supremacy. Okay.
Listen, Daisy, D-A-Y.
Jay's like I was. Listen,
you better. Anyway.
Oh, Jada was like, I was about to say, wow. You know, this is what happens when you're, you know, too young.
She's young, y'all. She's young. Okay.
Yeah. She don't know that.
Drive Miss D.
Miss D? Okay, driving Miss D.
Drive Miss D. Yeah, that's the butch queer that you want. That's the butch queer that you want. We could drive Miss D. Driving Miss D, okay?
Okay, Miss D.
Yeah. And for everybody else too, also in the comments, you can also share what your blessings and bullshit were for the week. So we would love to know what's your blessings and bullshit for the week, right?
Yes.
What's your blessings and bullshit?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
And the bullshit. I didn't get to the bullshit, y'all.
Oh. I thought Miss Daisy was a bullshit because that name.
That was bullshit. You guys see the movie. We're gonna have a movie made.
I'm looking up this movie. Actually, I'm looking up this movie.
We're gonna watch this movie.
Bullshit. Go with the bullshit.
We're gonna watch this movie with you.
The bullshit. Oh, it's with oh. Oh wow, she's an elderly Jewish woman. In Atlanta.
Oh my goodness.
You know.
Why am I crying? Yeah. I'm laughing so hard right now. Oh my goodness.
That is a kicker. But bullshit.
She discovers how racist her car is.
That car, she has internalized all of her racism. And has found you as an owner, y'all. It's crazy. It's wow how it happens. Bless you, missing so much. Yes, absolutely missing so much blackness. Oh, okay. Absolutely. Attending an all BIPOC death cafe where we talked about our grief, our goals as death care workers, and how none of us felt like a misfit. Thank you for sharing that. That is actually, I kind of want to know more about that. Like a death cafe? Absolutely. But actually, I'm going to say my bullshit because I think we're all collectively going to go into the bullshit.
Okay.
Probably.
So I'll save mine. Next. I'm going to see this movie.
Someone's asking for on Instagram our Zoom link. We don't do Zoom no more.
Ooh.
StreamYard. I'm sorry, you got to be on the Facebook or the YouTube now these days. Sorry.
We'll be better at making sure y'all know where the links are.
Yes. My blessing, Black people. I love us. We're great. We're awesome. My bullshit, Black people. And I, especially during this time, anytime I try really hard to not talk about Black folks. And, you know, we have enough folks looking like us tearing us down. But I have been running into some Instagram posts and other things from Black folks that I'm just like, I'm surprised that came out your mouth. I'm surprised that you would say that. And then I've been seeing some amazing things from Black folks. I've been seeing like Black folks do some amazing work, organizing, trying to keep community together. And I've just seen Black folks tearing community down. I don't understand. I don't understand. All white supremacists ain't white. Hey, Jay, we talked about that on Saturday? Yes. That's real. All white supremacists are not white. And so it continues to baffle me how, you know, like, I don't need you to agree with me, but I need you to agree and understand that Black folks get it the worst. And then you insert all your intersections within Blackness, it is the worst. I'm tired of folks actively realizing Black women and Black men that are trans are dying. This is not a new fight, and now everybody's in a rush to want to do something. And I'm like, you got over 10 years of needing to do something. And not saying that anything does not need to be done, but it's been 10 years, over 10 years. This is a consistent narrative.
Well over 10 years.
This is a consistent narrative. And so, and then how do we include trans voices? Well, now you're going to ask trans people to do work. Because now you feeling some type of way. What else? My bullshit. My blessing is that I am seeing so many trans men and women that are Black that are working really hard for community. And they're also actively not engaging in a lot of the protests because they're just like, nope. Safety comes first, mental health comes first, and all of these things. So that is a blessing. Bullshit. How can I put this? I'm just going to speak locally. I watch a lot of social media and I engage in conversations, even when people don't think I'm engaging in conversations. And you straight Black men that are engaged in these protests, sit the hell down for a minute. Just sit down. Most of you are protesting and engaging in these fights and these riots with actively white partners around you that you are uplifting. And I'm about to hurt somebody's feelings. I know that because that's just what it is. And you know, love who you love. It's 2020. Love who you love. But when your protest and your fight is centered around the white people that you center yourself around only, that's a problem. for safety reasons, for reasons of like, I just don't want to go up there. I have not been to Capitol Hill, whatever zone it is. People have all their stuff about it. I just have not been there because from a distance, it does not feel like a space for me. And we know on any given day what happens in Capitol Hill to Black folks, Black queer folks, Black trans folks. Like, so again, Black cis men, y'all destroy water.
Water?
So last week there were the white people of Black people. This week, destroying water.
Inshallah. That's a lot of work.
Anyway, so yes, get a t-shirt. Black men, you destroy water. Yeah.
Please.
Mase, what's your blessings and your bullshit? I'm done.
Listen, so my blessings and my bullshit is actually something I want to name, and I don't know how many out there at the We Out Here Festival, as well as people that typically watch. I don't know how many people watching are also artists, right? So as we said, and we name all the time that we're all artists. But I think in this time of great transformation, all these things happening, everything feels very rushed right now in terms of what artists are being asked to do. That as Black trans artists, like we're something that typically I'd maybe be given a project for like 2 months to work on. Now I'm given like 2 weeks because people are assuming that some of the things that are coming up right now are completely new. They're trying to rush to cover it now versus like the things that are wrong right now are things that have been wrong for a long time, right? And because there is some spaces where we are, some of us are digitally organizing, some of us are marching on the ground, some of us are, moving resources, some of us are, bailing people out, some of us are doing all these different kinds of things, right? That to be asked to, so I guess what I want to name is, I don't know how other artists feel, but I'm being asked to do a lot more work in lots short amounts of time at a moment where everything's emotionally overwhelming. And so I think that there needs to be something that shifts right now for people to like give us more time to work on things or do stuff, right? Yeah, we need rest. So some of us need rest.
Hello.
Yeah.
Rest.
Yeah, so like this person, so saying Callisto saying, hey, I'm interested in this topic. You can cover it. Can you get me a pitch by the end of the day? Yeah, stuff like that. Stuff like people are acting like everything has to be done now. Anti-Blackness is going to still exist like in a month, right? And and so in order for us to win the movement, we as Black people have to survive the entire movement, right? And so that means not asking us unrealistic things, and that means not overburdening us in a time where we're also taking care of family in different types of ways, taking care of friends in certain types of ways, and being oversaturated with death, right? So that so many Black trans and non-binary people are dying right now. So many Black folks, so many Black women and femmes are dying right now. I was telling Randy and Dani earlier, like yesterday, I just sat and just like had to turn off the lights in my apartment and just cried for a bit, just thinking about all the people that we've lost, right? And are still losing. The folks, the men and women that have been hung in the last, like the folks that have been literally like lynched in the last like couple weeks, this has been intense in the midst of a global pandemic, right? And we just need time to breathe a little bit. Even if it's work related, like especially for work related stuff, like work doesn't matter right now. So I don't know if anybody gets that. Work, unless your work is literally saving someone's life, like physically pulling them out of the dead, right? Work does not matter in this point in time. Capitalism does not matter. I hope capitalism is over by the time this is over, right? And we need time to work on the things that are important, which is us. So that was my bullshit. My blessings are, I have lots of great things coming up in this weekend, so we have a book release party for the Black Trans Prayer Book, which is coming up on the 30th. So for those that are interested in that, you can look us up on our Eventbrite. So the Black Trans Prayer Book, we have a free event that's coming up where we're going to be featuring the contributors to the book, right? It's a 3.5-year project in the making. So that's going to be exciting.
It's made.
And it's made. It's out there. People can buy it on our website, all this kind of stuff. It's published. It's done.
Right.
Yeah, and I have another book coming out in July, which is called White Folks Be Trippin'. So people will be able to get that. It's an ethnography through poetry and prose. And
you just dropping books left and right.
It'll be my third book in a year and a half. I feel good about it.
Okay, author.
Blessed and highly favored.
Doing what I can do. Doing what I can do. Okay. Yeah.
Are you done? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's all my blessings and bullshit. So I'm just excited to get into what we got to.
So powerful.
You're such a powerful speaker.
I feel like, can I tell you something that I learned about myself today?
Why not?
Please.
So for everyone watching, like I've been in the West Coast for like 4 years, right? And so like being in Seattle, being on the West Coast, people have a different cadence of speaking. And sometimes it has greatly frustrated me, sometimes communicating, because sometimes I'm speaking really fast and someone's speaking it's just a little bit slower or whatever, just because the pace, it's just different out here. And it usually like makes me like kind of like anxious, like, we got to get to the end of the conversation. Like, what is it that we have to get done right now? And I talked to someone from New York today, and they were doing the speech the way I typically do. And I was so frustrated and angry at this person. I was like, damn, is this me? Is this how I'm operating? I was pissed. I was like, why are you trying to rush the conversation? Slow the fuck down. I learned something about myself in the way I speak today. I just wanted to share.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just straight into the point, huh?
Listen, that's a whole nother conversation.
So we're going to talk about some things that's going on with us. We're also going to open it up to the audience. If you have questions, comments. The first thing I want to do is take it back to this comment from Callisto about that, but pay us, especially talking about Black, queer, and trans artists. So we were talking about this earlier today before we went live about the pay thing. And my thoughts about the pay thing is just like, we know there's a lot of guilt money going around and people are getting paid through their Venmos and Cash apps out of the blue. And that is great. I feel some type of way about that just because I look at things in a more, in a way that's different than everybody else.
A broader perspective.
Yes. I just like this. I feel like if you are paying somebody because you are feeling guilty as a white person, are you actually going to change your behavior? Because Mase, you just said, anti-Blackness is going to last for a really long time until there's some structural things that are changed and done with inside of white folks and people that uphold anti-Blackness. And as one of the comments said, not all white supremacists are white. I'm not saying don't pay Black folks, but I'm saying if you are paying out of guilt and you are not trying to go inside of your institution or go inside of your household to actually change something, your pay is just, it will help pay a bill, but then the intention behind it will fall flat. Like pay me and do some like hard fighting. I created a post the other day and I was just like, I saw so many white people talk about, I need a mental health day. I need to rest. I need to shut down for a minute. And I'm just like, and I just started to get mad. I had someone like say like, I hope you're getting rest. And I was like, I will stop resting once Black people stop dying. And they were like, oh yeah. So it's this thing of just like, if you are a white person and a person non-Black and a Black person with privilege and you get to walk away, there's some of us that we can't walk away. Yeah. There's some of us that we cannot rest. There's some of us that, yes, you can pay us all that you want to pay us, but then if I see you in the street and you're across the street and I'm seeing you still act funny to another Black person, and then you come up to me like, hey, how you doing? It means nothing. This is my opinion. This is my thought process.
Because we
don't keep dropping them out because you.
Because I'm saying pay folks. I'm saying if you want to pay people, and please Black folks accept the money. Please I'm not saying don't. Just take the money. I'm not saying don't. Also, I think pay at this point in time is no longer enough. Like white folks, y'all need to do something other than just trying to drop some dollars or drop tons of work our way. I just saw 2 major grants and they had so many like POC and Black people that they gave money to. And again, I'm just like, that's not going to end diversity. That's not going to end inclusion and equity. because you just doing this stuff to really just shut people up, to say that you've done the work, to make yourself not look like you're racist. That's what you're actually doing. But when you go back to the office and you look and over half your staff is white and your board is all white, you've actually done nothing to change. So again, this is my opinion.
I love it.
But go, Mason.
So what I'm gonna say, so what I was sharing is like, because there's I understand what you're saying from what you're sharing about like what you like that. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's not enough, right? White folks need to do different things. I do not believe in white folks' ability to change. So like that's the fundamental difference. It's like I actually do not ever expect white people to change and do anything different. So when white people ask me what they can do, I say money. Because one, we deserve the resources because many of us have trauma from shit that we didn't have access to because that money and those resources have been stolen from us for such a long time that has shifted our capacity, period, for most of our lives, right? So I think definitely always taking the money, receiving the money. I actually talked to someone yesterday who was like, oh, I feel weird that someone's giving this thing. I was like, tell me about how you grew up. Did you have everything you needed? You didn't? Right? Why do you think that is? Why the fuck do you think that is? So don't ever feel guilty about a person who is resourced giving you the shit you should have had and that you should have been raised up on. Okay? So that's the first thing. The second piece, like again, because
I don't feel guilty taking the money.
Oh, no.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh no,
Don't get that wrong.
There's a convergence. We diverge when there is a convergence, right, and a divergence happening. Okay, so yes, and so the other piece so I really just genuinely, and I think I've talked to you about this before, but back in 2011, there was a study out of a university that took needles and stuck it into the arms of different skin tones, and what they found was that white folks physiologically did not respond to Black people's pain, physiologically, right? And so we're talking about a real empathy gap in which oftentimes we assume because we can have conversations with people that they see us as human. That's not necessarily the case, because even if I recognize you as a human, doesn't necessarily mean I think that you're a human that matters, right? Or a human that I need to believe, or a human that I trust to lead me, or a human that I think can actually, whose ideas have value in the world, right? And so because I don't believe for white people to get intrinsically there, I'm not going to ask them to do shit that I know that they're not going to do. I'm going to give you one task, because most of the time they can't even do the one task. And so I'm going to organize with my people on the side. You want to send me some shit to do that? Cool. I accept it. Thank you, right? But I'm never going to, I don't want to ever put myself in a position in my heart space to believe that some of the shit going to come. It's not going to come. So that's the thing for me, is like I just genuinely don't believe in white capacity to shift like that.
You gotta say that.
One of the things with that as well is that for those of you donating money, I see you, especially if you're fetishizing Black trans women as you're donating to them and supporting them and wanting them to attend these marches, and you're fetishizing the Black women and femmes who are attending these marches, and I can't fucking stand it. I hate it. I see it right as it's sniffing. I was walking across from Chaz and to do something last week, and this other Black person, male, was like, oh, hey, babe, you gonna come out later? I'm like, I went, who is your babe? And no, I will not be coming out. And it's like literally kept walking. Like a lot of this, even if you're Black and you're out there, like please realize that, again, if you're not doing anything when you're not out there on Chaz, when you're not donating, if you're not correcting your family members on people's pronouns or talking about ableism and all this stuff and fat phobia, colorism, like what is the point of doing all of this? It's not doing anything. Like it's really infuriating for me when people try and like shame people for not protesting and try and just make it seem like protesting and marching is the thing that's really going to send this over the top. It's like I recognize that marching and protesting in our movements have, catapulted so many things, right? But people who, have been like looking into this stuff, for quite some time can see maybe patterns of history repeating itself, seeing patterns of, you know, when like things are coming to a halt, you know what I mean? Because people aren't willing to give up their spots. And so if y'all are really trying to keep the dynamics, you know, between men and women and everyone else the same, I'm sorry, that's not a revolution that I'm fighting for. If you're still trying to, you know, only react when a cis Black man is in pain or something like that versus everyone else, I'm not interested in that. If we're not talking about the needs of the youth, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not interested in that. If you're talking about abolition and haven't, you know, went through all the steps about what that actually means, I'm not here for it. Like, I'm really just not here for just all of the performance, you know. And David made a really good post. It's like, you know, a lot of us are artists. We know what it is to perform, and we know what a performance looks like. Like, try and play us. We know what acting looks like. We know what putting on a show looks like. Like, stop trying to
create the best performances.
Huh?
Some of us have created the best performances.
Some of us have curated the best sold out performances. Okay.
We know what it looks like.
We know what it looks like. We know what the details are. We know what the stage production management looks like. And we're not here for it. I'm not here for it. I'm not here to be tokenized in the movement. Like, I'm not. Like, just so infuriating. So infuriating.
And I think that brings up so many things, right? Because I think that people, a lot of times, again, people assume that folks have the same intentions, right? So just because, again, I can use this language, right? So even I was looking at something in Spox the other day where someone's like, oh, this language around, like, and I think we were talking a little bit about it earlier, but this language around defund the police. And so people got into an argument about what defund the police meant, all this other kind of stuff. It's like a lot of people were using the language and having very different repercussions for what they thought that meant, right? And so even it's part of a larger politic that has been in existence for a number of years from a bunch of abolitionists, right? So it leads to a place, right? But people, again, coming in and learning and absorbing the language and not necessarily having the understanding of like where all those things come from, or understand the different vantage points that exist, right, within that piece. Because I think what you're speaking to, I hear, you know, a lot of people trying to say, oh, you know, the way to for the Black Revolution is like we need to
create our own,
like be black capitalists. Like, so I'm hearing some stuff that's about us being capitalists. It's like, well, we can't. Capitalism is actually part of the reason we're in this mess. Like, that's actually hand in hand with white supremacy shit, right? Because someone has to suffer greatly in order for capitalism to work, right? When I think about people trying to replace the current white supremacy power structure with Black supremacy that specifically centers Black cishet men, right? Like, that's something, right? And so I'm not looking to be also under another system of patriarchy. I'm not looking to be under another system of trans antagonism, all that kind of stuff. I'm not looking for another space of ableism. I want something better. I want something where every single fucking Black person on the planet gets to be alive and choose and have their own autonomy. That's what I'm looking for. And that takes a lot of us to create and cannot be under any one person's paradigm. It's just not possible, right? Like, I heard some people saying that they were fighting for all Black people. It's like, no one Black person can fight for all Black people. You can fight for your vantage point. You can fight for yourself. You can collectively work with other Black people, but you as an individual, none of us as individuals can fight for all Black people. There takes so many different kinds and so much different energy, so many different types of experiences, period.
Right.
You perpetuate the monolith if you're trying to do that.
Right.
Unconsciously.
You perpetuate your own mythology about who Black people are, right? Included, like, right? So let's just be honest that we can't, you know, there's no way for us to all know what every Black person needs. People are, people are, and so a thing that happens in community, even when I think about activist circles, stuff, is like people end up fighting in all kinds of directions, right? Because once we do get a little taste of, oh, we can move things in this way, we can move things in that way, blah, blah, blah. It's like there becomes so much at stake, right? There becomes so much at stake because some of us will get free, right? That we sometimes will throw each other under the bus or do different things, right? So that power stuff we also have to look for because it comes up in so many different ways. We might not think we have power because we grew up a certain type of way, because we've been told this in mainstream spaces, but in our communities, we can definitely have power. We can definitely have power over others, right? We can have power over people in our own household and not be sharing power, right?
Jmace, thank you for saying that, because I really do want to, like, I want our Black people to know that, yes, we are being oppressed, but we continually to oppress each other, you know, like with our religion, with our class, with our ableness, with our complex, like there's so many things that people don't, again, like, you know, they remove themselves, like they're absolved of all the things that they perpetuate just because they're fighting for this. And I'm just like, I don't think that people understand that this is going to have to take a really deep look in the mirror at ourselves, at what we've been overlooking, who we've been overlooking, who we've been leaving the most vulnerable, you know, and like really like, because again, abolition, I feel like people don't understand abolition is not like a thing where no one suffers. There's still going to be some suffering. It's not going to be maybe as much, you know, as now, like, because nothing is perfect. Nothing does, you know, the perfect switch. And like, for me, I'm like, if people are really about it, like you have to really think about like what that entails. Like, and a lot of people aren't ready to face that, I feel. And that's just the part when it's like, okay, well, since we're not ready to face it, then what else can we do? Because we like to talk about it, but when it comes to really have, like when we really have it in front of us, like, okay, now do it. Do we sometimes do it? Or do we like, oh, wait, no.
One thing I actually have a question I want to kind of ask the audience, as so for people in the comment stuff, is so as we think about like what this potential of Black liberation looks like, the thing that kind of I think prevents us, not just in Black liberation cycles, but in all liberation spaces or all liberation fights, is the lack of understanding how to deal with conflict with each other. So I'm actually kind of curious from people, is when are times that you've seen within activist spaces, movement spaces, people really handle conflict in a way that you felt was closest to liberation, right? Because the reality is we're going to hurt each other. We're going to cause trauma to each other. We're going to cause harm to each other. We're human. That's no person is without causing harm. Literally, you cannot have lived on this planet and not cause harm. So when have you all seen someone or a moment or group of people in activist or movement spaces deal with conflict that you felt like was closest to liberation?
So I think I'm about to say something that may be unpopular to a lot of folks.
Let's find out what it is. Drum roll, please.
It's our platform.
But then it normally is unpopular, what I have to say to a lot of people. I think what I've seen in conflict, especially when people are just trying to get their point across, someone automatically cries victim and I'm being traumatized. And it's not to belittle anybody's where they're at in their life, but I think part of conflict is shutting down because you actually don't want to be told no. So you're going to shut down and say this person is victimizing me and doing things. And so we can't move forward in conflict. We can't move forward in healthy conflict because if someone is telling me no and they have strong opinions, and then Mase, you come from the East Coast, I'm the Midwest, there's a certain way that we talk in our voice when we are passionate about something, when we have something to say, and then people are like, oh my God, you traumatized me. And it's just like, actually, if you get a group of 20 folks where I'm from in the room, we all talking at this volume. And we're all talking like this.
At the same fucking time. Okay,
yes, at the same fucking time.
Not listening.
Like, don't take it turns. You don't have it right now. You don't need to take those turns.
Yes. And you're literally hearing everything in the room that's happening with all the 20 people talking. You hearing everything. And I say that to say that I've seen a lot of people be called like abusers and things like that, when I actually understand it's like they're not being abusive. They're extremely passionate about what they're saying. And these conversations, they're used to having conversations in a particular way. And that breaks my heart because I'm like, when I see actual abuse happening, no one is calling it out. And so we cut off people, we ostracize people because someone has then deemed someone an abuser when it's just like, actually, I was just trying to have a conversation. And I'm passionate about this just like you're passionate about this. And then everything does not automatically hit on a trauma response. It's literally like, this is how people move through the world. So I can't say anything to you. And again, I know it's not a popular opinion, but I'm just like, can we actually take the time and listen to what someone's saying when they have a different opinion than mine? And not automatically go into this, I'm a victim because you're just as passionate as I am. And so that's I think conflict won't, I have not seen a very positive thing with conflict right now. I haven't. I think, and I don't know, because we're friends, like we have difference of opinions, the three of us. And I don't even know if it's conflict. It's just, maybe we're just to the point where we're friends and we're family members with each other and we listen to each other. Maybe during a process when two people were ganging up on me a few years ago in a circle.
That was not ganging up on anyone.
Maybe that was a positive conflict. I don't know.
Right? It was. No, that was you and.
So I just want to explain. I think that my name is being tarnished right now, so I just want to speak up. What I want to say is Dani and I had a disagreement. It might have been a conflict. It might have been a little public. Okay. Public. Okay. Yeah. I got very soft. And we were just standing, we were all holding hands. So everyone needs to know this. We were holding
hands.
So what kind of conflict? And we just spoke to each other, made very direct eye contact, and just said, "No, I hear you. Yeah, still not budging. Totally hear you. Yeah,
yes, I was not budging. No." I mean, we're joking and everything that, but that is probably like the most positive thing that I've had out of conflict. Also, even if you don't know the person, you have to go in with some level of human respect,
right?
And unless that person is like, no, like, fuck you, and then you like, no, I don't respect you at all. But I think people go in not respecting folks, and so when conflict happens, you're automatically targeting me. You're automatically this, and so that's just my thoughts on conflict.
One thing that with that, I think it's the assumption that, again, like people have something valuable, right? So someone said earlier that, people don't realize that two people, I think, I can't remember, I can look later, but someone said that, people don't realize that two people can be right, So sometimes there's not actually a wrong answer. It might be an answer that doesn't get what someone wants or what someone else needs and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily automatically make it a wrong answer. And then I think that to me, this place of, so Sharon, and some of the comments I was sharing from Sharon over here is talking about the Rwandan genocide and the forgiveness circles that happened after that, which is, a whole another kind of complex thing that we can kind of talk about and unpack. But this place in which you have to believe that someone else's truth is important and valid, that their hurt is important and valid and necessary. And coming to a place where you assume that someone's not trying to hurt you specifically or not out to get you. I think a lot of times we've been so hurt, we assume if someone is saying something, blah, blah, that their automatic thing is like they're intentionally doing it against us. And it's like, it could just be this person really has to look in your context. Nothing to do with you.
Right.
This person had an argument with someone earlier. Not an argument, because I want to say we weren't like fighting or something like that. Like we weren't fighting. We're not fighting. But that we had we had a little bit of a disagreement, and I had explained to the person, just like we're talking, like, and I see your vantage point. It's like, and I think that there's this place where you think I'm going out of my way to like do something to in the future hurt you. It's like nothing I'm doing is like intentionally trying to hurt you. We literally just have a different worldview. Like just
right.
It's not connected to anything else.
Mm-hmm. I'm part of two collectives pretty much. And so like I've been through one with AU Collective, with us coming together as friends and wanting to work together. And there's so many that came out of that. It wasn't a perfect thing. Like there was definitely conflict. There was definitely feelings hurt. There were definitely things we need to heal from. Took years and years since we started to kind of even patch up.
Still healing.
still healing. And then, you know, with this new task force, another collective, you know, like with different opinions and different things and passions about what it is to be liberated. It's like, even with both of those instances, I've seen where conflict doesn't resolve anything, or where conflict at least does get the conversation going in a more richer state. Like conflict doesn't just make a thing of like, oh, you hate me or whatever, this is that. Again, like I said, like it's not an attack. It's just like, hey, you're thinking from this specific lens, and let's maybe add some more in there, because there's not only this, you know what I mean? Like I think there needs to be room for people, like listening to understand versus listening to respond. And like you said, like really like not trying to one up, you know, but really just, again, trying to actually actualize what it is you want to do. And so for any of y'all who are like, you know, oh, we need to like make our own shit, like, okay, but no, there's going to be a lot of conflict that comes with that, because a lot of people want to make their shit in ways that you probably don't want to. And how do you hold space for everyone, you know, not wanting to do certain things and move forward, again, collectively, and not just, well, more people like this, so we're going to go with this. Like, that's not how it can go, right?
Because that's literally, again, why we're in this mess, right? Like, we're in a country where we're literally outnumbered, right?
Right.
People feel like our needs don't matter, right? So, like, that's actually where we're at.
I think another thing about conflict that comes up for me is that you can't go into a discussion and conflict with someone wanting to fix the other person or telling the other person what they need to do to be a better person without really examining yourself. I think a lot of times conflict comes up because, or we feel some certain way about conflict because the thing that someone's doing to us is the thing we would actually probably do to somebody else. And so it's just now.
Hello.
Yo.
Look,
Dani.
Yes.
Look.
Everybody Cashapp Dani right now.
So I'm just saying that it's like there's this thing of like, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to do right to make me feel better, instead of just saying like, this is the harm that was done, and giving a conversation to happen. But I'm coming in telling you everything that you did wrong, and then I'm going to walk away because I don't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You've done everything to me. And then the minute I challenge you on that, I'm sorry, Mason, minute I challenge you on that, you feel in some type of way, because actually I'm a whole human being that has feelings also. And so you didn't do the bullshit right yourself either. And then we get into you're gaslighting, you do it. It's like, no, actually, I'm full of bullshit, you full of bullshit, and our bullshit did not jive together. That's all it is.
All it is.
And that's what that brings up so many complex things for me, just because, like, so I like this piece that I think it's Allison behind this one. I think so.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah, okay. I was like, Allison, I also didn't know if you wanted your name out there, but obviously you said your name earlier.
They posted it earlier.
But so this place of, yes, I feel forgiveness can only work if it's real on both sides, right? So this place, like what you're saying, because what the example you're giving, if someone does that, you know, and it just like comes up, tell someone like, these are all the things that are wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. Can that change some things? Yeah. If you don't believe that person can transform, you're totally fine. Do it. Like sometimes you need to cut somebody out and tell them, this is what you did. This is why you did X, Y, Z. And your power, the power structures are such that maybe cussing them out is the only power that you have, right? Like, so I think that is a very valuable tool. And if it's someone that you can actually, you feel like there's transformation possible, there has to be a way in which it's like, you know, you have to be open to receiving feedback too. Or again, understanding that person's experience a little bit. And again, you're not required to do it in all situations, but both people have to be willing to be transformed in order to move conflict forward. Right? If you do not believe that person can transform, and maybe some people around a lot of things, there's always something for each of us that we are actually not willing to transform over, and we have to be honest about that, you know?
Wow. And just be honest.
Wired to do that in every situation, but at the best case scenario, both people kind of come in and be like, I'm willing to be transformed by this other person.
Right. That is, yes. That's all I can say is yes. I think, you know, the thing that life is teaching me, especially being in a relationship and being married to a human being is that there's a point in time that everything you held on to, you have to let it go, especially if you are saying that you love this person and you want to be with this person. You can't hold on to that thing. I think a lot of times the conflict that me and Mr. B had and have at times is because what we're holding on to.
Mm.
And it's like once we're able to release that stuff, it's like, oh, I actually hear what you are saying. And then I'm able to articulate what I'm saying to you so you can hear it, because we're not holding on to anything. The fear, the hurt, the pain, and all that other stuff. And not saying that it goes away, but if you're holding on to it so tight and you choke in it, you're going to always be in conflict.
Hello.
I saw
your guard up. You're never gonna let anyone in.
See?
Listen, life like that.
Like what you exactly. I need you on my motherfucking pocket like every day. Yes. Listen, because like that place, yeah, I read something I think, and someone could correct me on the stats if y'all saw the same thing, but it said something like 30% of arguments or conflicts in long-term relationships don't get resolved. That's just like the reality. Is like you're with another person, like y'all actually are never gonna have full understanding of each other as people. Like that's just, you're just two individuals. And when I think about movement spaces, right? Sometimes you're doing activism, sometimes you're doing movement space work, and you could be in a room with people and like you're having a conversation with a group that's about something that's happening today, and everyone else is having a conversation about some shit that happened 10 years ago. And sometimes not even knowing, is this a today conversation? Is this a live conversation? When did someone just explain to me when we got here,
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think this is the perfect segue into just how, we're allowing these times to transform us, and how we are just talking about conflict, and how, we're talking about ourselves, and how, again, we need to be able to be transformed in order to maybe even just see a better world. And so for us and for everyone watching, how, with everything going on, with the pandemic going on, with anti-Blackness running rampant and being, in your face a little bit more for some of y'all, how are you allowing all of this to transform you? How are you transforming? Are you transforming? Are you trying to return back to normal? Like, what are you doing? How are you being transformed in all of this? How are you checking in with yourself? What new discoveries are you making? We'd love for you to comment either on Facebook and YouTube. And yeah, like, how are you transforming? And one of the ways, and which I think I told y'all in our check-in last time, was that specifically with conflict, I'm definitely someone who retreats usually when conflict happens. I'm definitely someone who, like, because I've been told, my opinion, doesn't really matter, because I've been told to be quiet, as a child, because, I've been told I was extra too emotional. A lot of times when conflict happens, I retreat, to where, like, I'm just not, again, wanting to be hurt even more. And I'm finding right now with, me being 27, with me, just like doing things that I couldn't imagine that I would be doing right now for myself, I'm realizing that I can stand actually in the face of conflict a lot more confidently now than I usually have been. Like, I can actually stand toe to toe and be just as passionate as someone is about their point as I am about mine, and not, retreat and think that, oh, this person, hates me, or I hate them, or there's any ill intention. But like, no, like, I can go toe to toe with you. This peaceful kumbaya, world peace and all that stuff, and everyone matters. Like I can stand in conflict and actually, talk, hold space, when there's a differing opinion, and not feel small, not feel like I'm taking too much space, not feel like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I'm just realizing through all of this, and just as I'm, growing up, I can, I can
so mad.
be in there and
Why
stand
she
up.
always got to throw in age? Why she always got to throw in age?
Gotta remind us. Okay.
I'm 27, so
Just so people who don't know us when they tune in, you know, we just make sure they're aware of the dynamics at
I can't.
Remember Miss Daisy, driving Miss Daisy. Okay,
you know what? We are transforming. Her name is Miss D now, and it's spelled with an H in there as well.
Oh my God!
So you are finding your voice.
I'm finding my voice and my home.
I'm done with you.
Yeah. And we'd love to also just know from other folks, like in the chat, like during this time, how have you been transforming? So this question again, we don't ask rhetorical questions.
Yes, please let us know.
Okay, we on camera, but y'all got the chat, so we want to know how are you transforming out there?
Yes, Dani.
Yeah, because I think so thank you for that, Randy. I think for myself, I am fine. I think I was started this pandemic and even just with the uprising, knowing again that this is a great moment of transformation, and also feeling very overwhelmingly just heavy and sad and just like this is the end of something and I don't know what the next is going to be, if it's going to be good for me or not. And so in this last few weeks, I think I've just now started to hit my stride as an artist and not looking at performing over the internet as a deficit, not looking at facilitating over on the internet as a deficit, being able to think about how does my art transform? And so I think that there's some parts that I need to work out, like, because there's bad parts that we might transform during this time. I know Randy and I were talking earlier how we don't necessarily eat on the same schedule that we did before the pandemic because, you're looking at blue light all day on a computer. So maybe you didn't eat the ways that you were supposed to eat, or maybe you didn't think about what you actually need to do for your body, or you didn't go to sleep in time, so I want to kind of work on those things during this. I think for any kind of vice that you have, I know our vices probably didn't get better in quarantine. So working on those things, but artistically, emotionally, I feel like I'm at a higher level than I was when I started the pandemic.
Yeah, I want to take it to some of the comments that we have from Jade Solomon Curtis. I feel like I'm being called to the altar. Oh, in so many ways. Like, so many of us, I resonate with that comment so much. Yes, take that fan out. Kalisto, I'm communicating more with folks like y'all's who I wasn't communicating with enough pre-quarantine. I'm rethinking the work I do. I'm allowing myself to cry, grieve, and love. That part. Sharon Nyree Williams, I've been examining my purpose and really digging into the why behind the things that I do. This comment right here, all of them resonated with me, and I think that's also like, I think all three of them tie in a very particular way for me. I think the digging into the why behind the things that I do. Mason, what are you doing? Is that Randy?
Oh, find it. There it is.
That was Randy.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, what is going on? You know, when the elders try to be profound, the young ones just mess it all up.
Did you see how Dani tried to blame me? Did y'all see?
I did.
What's the blame, Jay Mase? This is why we got conflict. Let me tell you, I got fucking conflict. Okay.
I forgot what I was about to say, child.
Oh, yeah, that was me. That was the baby. My bad. Continue.
Okay, continue. I'm over here choking, dying, because this is hilarious. We just can't wait. You know what? We just gonna stay right there for a minute. This is fine. I can't even think. anyone who knows me and you, it's always the why. Like I always ask myself, why am I doing the things that I do, and what is the bigger purpose of that? And then moving for that, I think, and I think a lot of us are always being called to the altar, whatever that altar is. It just depends on how we choose to answer it. I think how we choose to show up at that altar, and whatever that altar is for you. I think there are those of us that are always being called there, and we don't feel like Randy, you said that you're finding your voice. We don't feel strong enough for that call sometimes, or we don't feel confident enough, I should say, not strong enough, confident enough for that call.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But I believe, and part of doing the work does not mean public. When we talk about organizing, and I'm seeing in Seattle, there's a lot of people publicly organizing. Conflict with inside of all of that. It is really disturbing, because why are you doing it? Are you doing it to showboat? Are you doing it to say that you're doing it? Because there are people that's working behind the scenes that are actually making change happen, that are actually raising money, that are actually doing things for the cause and for the support of all Black lives. And they're like, I don't need that type of spotlight. And again, people will be in their feelings when I say what I'm saying. This is not a public attack on anybody. It is just what I'm seeing. It is just what I'm seeing. There are some people that it's like, I know my altar is sitting behind this internet and making posts about things because I know that people are actually reading those posts and they're taking that to heart. There are some people that's like, I show up at every single protest and you won't even know that I'm there. You don't even know that I'm there. This person is about to get mad at me. I won't say their name, but if you know, you know. My roommate has been showing up in service roles for people to make sure people are taken care of. And folks won't know that because they are not publicly blasting that. And sorry, I'm blasting it out there, but I think that's important to understand that there are people that are actually doing the work. And so when you show up to the altar, you show up to that altar any way that you can and any way that you know how to show up at that altar. You know, I think Kalisto, allowing myself to cry, grieve, and love, that's another thing that's transforming folks. We actually have the time to grieve. And I think that is why this feels so different right now, because the world has stopped and the world has to just sit in Black grief. When the world keeps going and moving on, we don't have to sit in Black grief. Other folks don't have to sit in Black grief. But now that it's like, we can't go nowhere. We can't ignore. We can't go to the gym. We can't go to our hot yoga. We can't go to Trader Joe's. No shade, but shade to Trader Joe's. We can't do all of this stuff. So we have to sit and we have to watch and we have to be there inside of it. And so like, that's transforming. That's why things feel so different. So I'm just saying like all of those three things really tie into me, into that, the grieving, the crying, the, you know, why we do the work, the being called to the altar. Transformation is just, it's such a key right now. And that doesn't mean your transformation will be out there that you have to go transform the world. Maybe it's just transforming what's going on in your household.
Hello.
Well, Black folks is enough, right? Like I think for Black folks, you need to do what, like, again, your job is to survive the moment, like your job is to survive.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to survive it. Can
we get with this comment?
I can't read it because I don't have my glasses on, and the text is
What about the young person with the good eyes reading it?
This is the first time, like 2020, this is the first time I've seen Black people outside of the PNW have as many conversations around mental health, self-care, and compassion before we Black LGBTQ plus folks always ran ourselves into the ground. Absolutely. Like, I'm not allowing this time, and Dani was telling us earlier before this, to run me haggard. Y'all are not going to drain my energy, okay? If y'all are not going to drain my energy, again, like back off. You know, some of us have been doing stuff, you know, since before the hype of all of this madness, and we've never even asked for, again, like, we just asked for you to make it happen. Never even asked for, we just asked for you to make it happen. And y'all just really want to exhaust us until we can't even, there's no one else to fight for anything. It's like, if we're all out here exhausted, dying because we're exposing ourselves to this pandemic, who's going to fight? Who? And this comment, turning my rage and sadness into fuel. Ooh, I see you, sis. Like, I see you. I hope you know that doesn't have to be fuel either. You can just have rage and sadness and just be. Don't even let that be fuel for nobody but yourself, so you can get up the next day. Like, make sure that fuel is for you, because people especially want Black femmes, to turn our rage, our passion, our whatever into this, I'm just like, I want to be a vulnerable, squishy, soft, person. Like, I want to be that. I don't want to be strong for everybody right now. Like, I want to be strong for myself, for my family, and then y'all act accordingly and do so in your own communities. Like, all I can do is what I can do for me.
Right.
And I hope Jade, all Black femmes, non-binary, everyone out there, like, you can be all the things for yourself, not for other people. Make sure it's for yourself. Turn it into fuel for yourself so that you can get up the next day and live.
Listen. And I think, to me, that's also just about how also our roles in movement can change and shift over time.
Absolutely.
Like before, when I was in my 20s, I was doing a lot more direct action organizing and just organizing, period. At this point, I do a lot more support stuff. I do a lot more digital organizing. I do more moving resources for people. I do more supports around bailing out folks and doing other sort of things in that way. And that's for a lot of different reasons, right? It's also trusting that there's other people that can do the work, right? Because a lot of times we get this ego part that says, only I can be the person that does this. Only I am the person who's smart enough to do this. Only I can do this, right? And the reality is, like, for Black liberation to actually happen, it can't just be, again, cannot be just one person. Cannot. So we have to believe and trust in our people enough to know that other people are just as qualified, if not more, than we are coming into spaces, right? And that's okay. And necessary.
Yes. This comment I'm finding, especially lately, that I'm way more resilient and tenacious than I thought. I have more fight than I thought.
Ashe.
I will say this about that, and I 100% believe that we are born fighters. People see that in us, and they find ways to take our voice away from us, take our fight away from us. I think as children, as youth, we don't have people nurturing the fighter inside of us, nurturing that person inside of us that has that voice. We have that stripped away because they are afraid of what can happen. And so it's buried away. I think all of us have the power to lift up our voices, to fight. We all have those things inside of us. And we also have to surround ourselves around people that believe in our voice. I can't say the things I say at the organizations that I say it at if I know that I don't have a group of people around me supporting me. They don't have to physically be in the building with me, but I know when I walk out of there that they are supporting me. Mm-hmm. We have to understand that a lot of times our voice is not our own. And I say that to say that when we speak out and we stand in something that we believe in, it just does not affect us. It affects everybody else around us. So also, like, know and encourage yourself to know the moment you have the courage to speak up, someone that you may not know is gaining courage and gaining a way into their voice also. Mm. Understand that people are watching what we're doing consistently. They are watching to lift us up. They are watching to bring us down. Period. So when you embrace your voice again, folks, I just want y'all to embrace it in a way that you know that it's not just about you. And that's a heavy burden, but I know Mason's fight and Randy's fight, it's not just about them. I know those folks that are fighting for Black joy and liberation, it's not just about them. And the thing that most folks don't get, it's about everybody and not just Black people. I keep saying that. And I'm like, that's hard. And I was like, y'all are so stupid that all of this fighting and all this people wanting to change laws and policy, it will affect everybody in the most positive way. It's not just about Black folks. Like, we understand that my life, my fight for my life to get better will equally direct your life. And guess what? Because your skin is lighter, it's going to be better for your life faster than mine. But my ass is out there fighting for you. Okay. Let me get off this soapbox.
You ain't got to get off. You ain't got to get off for nobody.
It just, it saddens me when people's voices are taken away. Mm-hmm. Or people don't use their voices. It just saddens me. And it's just that thing of just like, why do we continue to do that to people? Why do we continue to shut folks down and what they have to say? Like, that just pisses me off. Like, it's some dope ass people that their microphone is not as loud as those in the street, but what they have to say is so spot on. But because they're not going to fight to be in the spotlight, we're never going to hear their voices. And like, going back to like digging deeper, I think sharing inside of your work, I understand what my work is. I understand that I have a way to make sure that it's not just my voice at the table, that I'm trying to make sure other voices at the table. And it's not a brag thing, but I understand what my work is. I understand who I am inside of that it's not just about me. That if I'm coming along, which way can I step out and step back and move out of the way so I can be like, okay, there's a whole bunch of people that you should be listening to. At times we do need at least one person to get us in the door. But that person also has to be strong enough in their leadership skills to step to the side and shut the hell up. Yeah. Okay. I'm parched.
I love it. It brought up a great question when you brought up, there's people who have spot on words to say, but they don't have the microphone or the megaphone or the, platform, right? And so who are you listening to that maybe isn't getting enough? Who are you consulting? Who's giving you what you need, just so that you remember that you're not alone in this, just so you remember that there's so much to be doing, there's so much to continue doing. I'm very curious as to who are we, what's moving you?
Can I also share something in that too? As people are typing. So one thing that comes up for me too is like, we glorify the people in the spotlight a lot, right? As you're saying, Dani, right? And also, like, when you're talking about radical work, right? Like, radical work, it actually can happen in the spotlight, right? So a lot of the people that are responsible for the shit, right, that to do and get done is like about people that are willing to be behind the scenes, a lot of willing to be behind the scenes and all the kind of stuff, and work with community and work with leaders and stuff like that, but have some understanding that they can't be as visible, right? Otherwise, that work would get derailed or other things would happen, right? And so also just acknowledging that lots of very important people are moving and shaking and doing the thing, and we'll never know their names. We'll never, ever, ever know their names. They will not be in any articles. They will not be being tracked. They will not be whatever, right? Because it's the movement is more important than their celebrity.
Those are the people that I'm listening to.
Ashe.
And again, it's like I know my position in this Seattle world. I also know it's like there are people that I'm listening to that I'm just like, I don't know this and I need to listen. And again, as you said, Mase, that you won't know who they are in that way. And so it's there, it's easily accessible. We tend to go to who we think is the loudest and the most radical, whatever that means.
Or most sellable.
Right.
And And also to say, like, all those roles are valuable, right? So even like as much as we denigrate, like sometimes the celebrity status that we're given around certain things, it's like changing the culture. Like, so a lot of the active organizers will be like, make the movement irresistible, right? And so the celebrity stuff, it makes the movement irresistible because it has to be not a question. Of course you would participate in this. Of course you would do this, right? And that is a valuable role, as well as, and even more so sometimes, and a lot of times, is the people that are on the ground getting the shit done and are able to like actually like maneuver in such a way because they're not taking interviews. They're not even mentioning what organizations they're part of. They're not talking, like, you don't know who they're affiliated with. Right? All that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm listening to Black women. Period. So many, Black women, the Black women before me in the movement, you know what I mean? The Black women among me in the movement, I'm listening to them all. I'm taking it in, I'm going into platforms that I normally wouldn't outside of just dance, you know what I mean? Like in the art space, it's, we can do our part for the arts world, right? But again, what else is there outside of us? Like what are we even not looking for, or what do we not see because we're so invested in, one, survival in this world and, like all of that. So it's like, I'm listening to Black women. I'm listening to my friends. I'm fortunate to have a great circle of people who I actually trust with every opinion, even if it's differing from mine. Like, something about being surrounded by people who don't always agree with me is something that's very interesting, just again, because you get more perspective. And so I'm listening to them. I'm listening to Indigenous folks. I'm listening to the land. I'm listening to the world. I'm listening to my intuition, like trusting myself. I'm listening to it all. I'm trying to, and also trying to listen to it all, but also knowing that I can't listen to it all, that I can't do it all. I thank you, Dani, for saying that. Like, I can only do so much in my lane. So I'm going to stay in my lane and perfect it while everyone else, if y'all want to tag along and whatever, do all the stuff, collab, just know that my lane stays. I ain't gonna merge it over. We're gonna keep the lane here and let's just have a huge freeway of freedom. Like, why can't we just just combine all of our lanes and just have, the most epic HOV lane possible, where we're just on our way to whatever liberation we're looking for. So I'm listening to everyone. I'm even listening to the cis people. I'm like, you know what? with caution. With caution, because we never forgive and forget, right? We forgive and remember. Right. But so I'm listening to it all. I'm listening to, history, herstory, all of it. I'm trying to, listen to it all, be immersed.
As an artist, I'm also listening to arts organizations and what they're not doing. Because it speaks volumes. Them being very performative. They're the ballet company out here, Pacific Northwest Ballet. They did this whole thing and wrote up all this stuff, and people were like praising them. But I'm like, can you erase the history of the racism that happened actually within inside of your organization? Like,
with the one
is that actually being undone? You can put out these statements, but what is the work inside of that? And again, it's not like crapping on people's organizations, but what are you actually doing? Like, I'm listening, and then a lot of it right now sounds performative. And I'm just like, okay, great, let's do the work. Great, you're putting out the statement. Great, everyone's praising you. But also, you have programs where you utilize young children of color from underserved neighborhoods, and you handpick who they may or may not be in your program going further outside of this particular program. That's real. Like, it's factual. So I'm not making shit up.
Not at all.
Address that?
We've been to those galas.
Yes. And, can we address the fact that it's just like those of us in the art world are trying to rub two nickels together, and you have sets that cost $10,000. A set that costs $10,000. And again, so when we talk about all of this stuff, it's like, what are you actually doing outside of performing these things and your strategic plan to, take down systematic racism and your anti-Blackness and blah, 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 blah. Like, I remember going to P&B to meet somebody, and I went to the door to walk in, and the security guard stopped me. What do you need to be here for? And I said, I'm meeting somebody here. But I saw them not stop anybody else walking in. So again, it's some deep stuff. That's just one organization. That's just one. People hitting Black and trans performers up. Can you perform here? We'll pay you. We'll pay you. And it's like, but we're still teaching you. We're still doing work. So you not paying me. You paying me like
you underpaying
$200. But then you're sitting there like, oh yes, make us feel bad and teach us something. But we don't want you to teach us anything. Like the lies, the lies, the lies. Anyway, I said I was going to get off my soapbox. We have 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes until this plane lands.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, the performing. And I hope that with anything that we're telling y'all, whether you're listening to this now or you listen to us in the beginning, like we are just telling you, look within yourselves. Like really, truly look within yourselves. Really ask yourself, who am I fighting for? Whose neck am I stepping on? How do I make sure that while I'm fighting for these people, I'm not stepping on that person's neck? That's a simple formula that can help you. Simple. You can cash at me, Venmo me, however you want. If it hasn't been not said before, also, I'm not, gonna coin that idea. But like something I was thinking about, and this is kind of back to the transforming question, and I'm just gonna put it out in the ether because I want just like maybe just voice it and like maybe I'll get more something. But I've been thinking about just how people, hit us up as artists, and want us to do things, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. What if, we as artists, who have, been doing this, for a number of years to where we're able to, stake our claims and do our, and be like, no, this is it or no. Like, what if we incorporated some type of like I was thinking for myself, if someone were to work with me, I would want half of, like, say someone wants an image of me, like, or a photo or whatever, take the image, right? Pay me half for each time that image is used or whatever. And then from the half that you get, half of that is going to go to a Black trans organization or some type of, look into the people of your own land or whatever that you're occupying, like some type of do that. And then maybe we'll talk about business together. And my rate of half is going to be somewhere in the thousands also, just so we know. And we stick with it as Black people, really valuing our work, our labor, where we come from, all the things. What if our world encompassed that? Is that a way that we can be in a different direction than where we have been, again, with people giving us, $50 for 5 minutes of our time, for these $200 stipends for, a month's worth of work. How can we reimagine this exchange of services as Black trans people? That's just something I've been thinking about. I think all Black trans people in this time should up their rates triple what they usually been doing and stick with it. And you'll see how many people can actually afford you.
I will say
but it's a something. It's a something. It's an idea.
There's a list of artists across genres, especially Black artists, that are coming out with lists of demands for theater companies and arts organizations. And I can't think of it I can't think of the actual group of people, but that is coming out, and people are just like, you know, Yale School of Drama, I believe, and Yale Theater, something like that. They just canceled their entire 2020, 22, 21 season.
Nice.
I mean, there's a point of just like, people are not going to feel comfortable going back into theaters. And if they do, as we can see, like even today, there's reports that the COVID numbers are starting to increase again. So we don't know where that's going to put us. In like 20 states that it's again. So what artists are doing is just like, no, I need to take some stuff back. Like, before I work with you again, this is my list of demands. So that is not unreasonable. We can't just demand from law enforcement. We have to demand from all sectors.
Hello. Thank you.
So there are people that are working on it. You know, I'm also like, do I have to work with y'all again?
No, you don't.
Because even, you know, you talk about transformation, you ask a question about transformation. Part of people's transformation is that they're learning to do stuff that they didn't have the time to do within their own artistic practice. Mm-hmm. Photographs, making music, all types of shit. So I'm just saying. So she's frozen.
She's been freezing in the best positions though. Today.
Yeah, that is a cute position.
That Zoom face going.
Right.
One thing I did want to share, so this is not necessarily connected to the arts piece, like you again as another artist, but I've been collecting names of individual black folks that have either lost income during COVID or who have been dealing with crisis, or you know, all kinds of different things just during this, or who were broke before COVID and just need support, right? So I'm actually putting onto the comments. So I think everyone should be able to see it. But so it's a Google Doc. It's a Trust Black Folks Google Doc. And so you can go on there, get individual Black folks information for people that either want to pass this along to other non-Black folks that want to be in solidarity with Black people who can give outside of organizations. If you're a Black person that wants to be added, you can leave a comment. I'll add you to the document, you know, and just put in your PayPal, your Venmo, Cashapp, whatever. Yeah, or again, you can just, if you are a non-Black person, you got some coins, you can just pick people on the list and just throw some money in the pot. It's a long list. Yes. It's a long list.
I'm about to open that up.
Right. It is 9:32. We always end with a wonderful, beautiful question. One, we want to thank you all for joining us for the living room. Also, the We Out Here Festival. Hey, 2020. Thank you, Michael B. Main, for asking us to be a part of the festival. Before we pose our last question, we have a bit of some news. Since COVID and beyond, we have been working really hard. We enjoy doing this show, and we're going to take a break. We're not leaving. We're going to take a break. We need to recalibrate. We need to really focus on some personal things in our lives. So we're going to take the month of July off. We're going to recenter. We're going to come back and really focus on what is it that we're trying to do. And you can still hit us up through Facebook and Instagram. You know, we'll still be alive and active in our own personal things, but it is important that we know when to say no to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we need to support each other as friends before this show also. And so we're focused on ways that we can support each other. And part of that is stepping away. Again, we love doing this. I'm speaking for all of us. I hope I'm not out of line, but we love doing this. But we also got to love ourselves more. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you all wanted to add anything onto that, but I'm just real with that.
You said it perfectly for me.
Yeah, like Dani said, it's a break. Yeah, and we'll see y'all after the break. Yeah, and we love y'all, and we're gonna miss y'all. And thank y'all for the new folks that are joining us today. And for the people that might be watching after we're done, you can still follow us on Instagram. You can follow each of us on Instagram and just kind of check up on our work too. And you can also throw us coins on Instagram via our bios if you want to like also do that. We're always down. Getting support allows us to do the work that we came on this planet to do, including this show and all the different ways that we've been doing this for the year without, with a year without pay, just being present and trying to be there with each other. So.
Yes, and we may be dropping some like original episodes, like the very first. We may be dropping some of those, so we won't be like completely gone. We'll just like drop some stuff, so it'll be fresh and new to a lot of you all. Just so y'all know, we still out here.
Hey, been out here.
Yes, been out here. So, where is your joy? Who wants to go first?
My joy is little Nikki G, who is like causing a whole ruckus on the side. But so Nikki G after the poet, because she had to be both Black and gay as well, and a poet in the house.
I love that. My joy is in my room right now, sleeping, sound asleep. I feel like I should wake her up so she's not up all night. But my joy is with my niece. My joy is with my new niece that is born into this world. My joy is with y'all, with my family. My joy, I'm learning, is also within myself. I'm learning to really find joy being.
Yay. My joy is that Sunday, I will say Saturday, Sunday, I will see 20 lies. I was going to say 26 years. I consider myself younger than Randy. Lies. I consider myself younger than her. I will see 46 years come Sunday. And it's going to be hopefully a chill day. I'm not planning anything. My lovely hubby and two wonderful humans I get to share this platform with will be planning a nice chill day. The other part of my joy is that, I'm still going to be working, but taking a break from this is that I get to be in lovely conversations with Black dancers in the city coming really soon. Y'all hear more about that. Again, I'm still going to take a break. Me and the hubby are still going on vacation, driving somewhere. Pray for me, y'all. Pray for me. We may not be going to Texas because Miss Texas.
Looking crazy. Yeah.
Texas is getting worse and worse and worse.
Oh.
So anyway, that is my joy. Yes, Juneteenth. Y'all can still leave comments if you're doing something for Juneteenth. There's a bunch of stuff going on. So that's it. We thank you all so much for joining us. Again, we will take a break from the live. Again, posting some stuff so y'all can, see the stuff beforehand. My joy is with my friends, chosen family, and with myself. Hey, if you don't love yourself,
look, no one else will.
Ain't nobody else love you. So that's it. We will see y'all hopefully in August back live with some new shit.
Yes.
Hey.
And we love you. It's nothing personal. It's self-care. It's nothing personal.
Yeah. It's self-survival at this point in time.
Look. All right.
Thank you for being with us. Thank y'all.
Yes.
Thank y'all. Have a good night. Bye.
Be out here.
Yes.